Good morning, students. How are you doing? Hope everything is fine with you. Hope you're staying safe and healthy. I want to go through I7 in this video tutorial. Basically, you should have set up your Microsoft Access, whether you have a PC. And then if you have a Mac, you should have got the remote connection to one of the Microsoft Access in one of the computers in Roosevelt. So once you do that, I want you to go to the Blackboard. If you're going to be in PC, you can do it from your computer. But if you're using a Mac, you need to go to the Blackboard using the remote computer, not your Mac computer, but the remote computer, which is a PC. So I want you to go to the remote computer and then download from Blackboard both the I7 questions as well as the I7 data. The I7 data is going to be in Access. Okay, so if you are a Mac user, you need to go to the Blackboard from the remote desktop that you have connected, not from your Apple, and then download it and find and make sure that you download it on the desktop, so it'll be easy for you to find where that is. Because once you download it, you don't need to save anything. It automatically saves there. And then once you complete the exercise, then you can take that I7 that you have done and then upload it in the Blackboard using the same remote desktop. Again, if you have a PC, you don't need to do all that. You can do pretty much from your computer. Okay, so that is the first thing I want to make sure. Once you open the Microsoft Access, this is what you're going to see. What you see is just before you. And you have the home button, the create button, the external data button, the database tools button. There is an X right here. When you click on this, the system will save whatever you have done in Access and then quit Access when you click on this X. Okay. So let's go through some of the details of this Access. The first one I want you to look at are the tables. Whenever you do anything in this class, the first thing you want to do is to make sure that you understand the data. So here we have 5 tables. And we're going to go through each one of them. So double click on the customer and you can see that the customer has got what is called a customer ID, last name, first name, street, city, etc., etc. Now this is the data view. If you go to this corner here, if you go to this corner right here, if you click on this, you will get the design view. This is your design view. If you click on this again, you'll get the data view. So this button here is basically a toggle button between the data view, which you can see right now, and the design view. In the design view, you can see that customer ID is a primary key. There's a key next to it, so customer ID is a primary key. And also this is a text. Those are the two things that you need to know first. So customer ID is the key, and then we're going to do a ER diagram next. So for that, if you have a piece of paper, you can write down all these things, or you can use whatever you see on the screen. Okay, but customer ID is the primary key. And then I'm going to get out of this table. I don't want any tables open when I do anything like query or anything else. Those are the answers that you're going to be getting for your test or assignments and things like that. So basically, after you view this, after you understand the customer table, click this X, not this X. This X will get you out of the system of access, but this X here, and sometimes if you maximize it, you're going to see the X here. Okay, if you minimize it, you're going to see the X here. So click on this X and table will be going back, or you won't see the table again. Let's look at order details. Order details has got order ID, product ID, and quantity description. The quantity ordered is the one you might be very interested in. Let's view this. So here, the order ID is a number. Its a data type is a number. Order product ID is a number. Quantity ordered is a number. Okay, so make sure that you note that on your mind, and then we'll get out of this order details. Order mode is the next table. Order mode basically has got an ID, and then order mode, whether somebody paid with Visa or a MasterCard or a check or cash, whatever it is. And then your customer ID appears again. So this customer ID is the one that you're going to use to form relationship. And this is a foreign key. It's called a foreign key. So if you go to the view, you can see the primary key is ID, but nothing is there next to the CID. But you should note that the CID is the same as the customer ID. And sometimes, you will see that. How would you know that? If you go back to the view, you can see the 001, 002, and this is customer ID. And usually you will have some description here. The description may be that it is same as customer ID. You can type in it. Okay, and then so this, make sure that you note the CID here, and then I get out of it, and then I'm going to save the changes because I made a change like same as customer ID. I'm going to save it. Okay, so I can save it now. I don't need to save it now. So, but if you want to, you can save it now. Okay, and I'm going to get out of that. The fourth table is the orders. The orders have got order ID, customer ID, and order date. So order date is here, and then customer ID is already here. The customer ID is whether it is a number or it is the name of the person. It is given as the key. It is called a key. So you can provide a key and say, hey, I'm going to use the name or the last name as a customer ID, which is not a good idea, but you can do that. This is for just to show you. I would rather put 001, 002 here. Okay, so I'm going to click on this, the design view, and I see that the order ID is an auto number. That means it's a number. Customer ID is a short text. That we know that this customer ID is now can be used as a foreign key, okay, to the customer table. So we'll come to that later. So I'm going to get out of that. Now, products. The products, I have product price and the product description and then a product ID. And if I go to the design view, the product ID is the primary key. So I'm going to get out of that. Now I know the data. So the first thing you want to do in any access assignment or test or project is to make sure that you know the tables really well. Okay, so you know the data in the tables really well. So now I'm going to create an ER diagram. So to do that, I'm going to show you how to do that. You should take a piece of paper and then try to do whatever I do here. So you have 5 tables. I'm going to put those 5 tables. Okay, so I have the first table, which is called customer. And in customer, I have what is called customer ID, CSTMR ID. And this is my key, the primary key. Okay. And then I have the last name, the first name, etc., etc. And this is the ER diagram. Entity relationship diagram. So now I have the entity's customer. Now let's look at orders. So the next table that I'm going to look at is orders. In orders, I have order ID, and that is my primary key. And I have customer ID. This is going to be my foreign key for this table. So you can see these two are the same. So we'll form the relationship later. For the time being, I want to put all the tables together first, all the entities together, and then we'll form the relationship. The last one I have here is order date. Okay. The third table that I want to use is called order details. In order details, I have order ID, which is a primary key. And then I also have a product ID, which is a primary key. And then I have quantity ordered. Okay. The fourth table is products. And in products, I have product ID. And then I have product description. And then I have product price. Product ID here is my primary key. The last table is order mode. And in order mode, I have an ID, which is my primary key. And then my order mode. And then my CID. And this CID, as we talked about, is the customer ID. Okay? So now we have all the tables done, all the entities done. Now let's form the relationship. So this customer ID will work with this customer ID. So I'm going to form a relationship between these two. And for that, it's going to be one to many. So to be consistent with our book, we can have the relationship with two lines here and then a crow's feet here. Okay, and that is one-to-many relationship. Similarly, we can form a relationship between orders and order details. And you can see that you have order ID here, you have order ID there. So I'm going to form a relationship. And again, I'm going to use the same thing which is from the book. And this is one to many. When I put this infinity sign, it means many. One to many. So I'm forming a one-to-many relationship. Same here, one-to-many relationship. Now for the products, I have product ID, which is a primary key here, a product ID, which is a primary key here. See, back here, I had a primary key in customer, and then I had a customer ID with not a primary key, but I used it as a foreign key. So it was no problems. I can just go do this. But here I have both of them are both the product IDs are primary keys. So I need to choose one. What I would do is to look at it from a logical standpoint. The logical standpoint is this. Each product can have many product ID in order details. The reason being, if I buy this product orange, I can buy 10 today. But tomorrow, the same day, I can go back and then I can buy 20 more. Or the next day, I can buy 30 more, right? So each product will have multiple quantities. That is the reason I'm going to go with this to this product ID, not the other way around. And again, I'm going to use the same thing. The crow's feet, and we are done. For the order mode, I have customer ID and I have a CID here. So I'm going to use